very much. Okay, so very good morning to all of you. Jai Shri Krishna, everybody. Okay. So before we start our class, we will do our Mangala Charan. Okay, would you like to recite the Mangala Charan? I'll sit at the back today and hear you. Okay. Mukam karoti vachalam pangom langayatem girim yat kripatam aham vande Shri Guru Dinataranam. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Tam Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuva Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaitya Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we will just do a quick recap of what we covered last week. Tejas, can you hear me from here? Yeah, good. So what we covered last week, chapter 7 until chapter 11. Okay. So chapter 7, Krishna explains that there's no truth superior to him. Right? Everything rests upon me as pearls are strong on a thread. So you can actually see the Lord's energy, but at the same time, you can't really pinpoint to it that this is, the gravitational force, for example. You can't see it. You can't see it, but you know that the gravitational force is there, which is putting all the planets, Earth, Sun, etc. in orbit. Okay, so see the hand of Lord Krishna in everything in the universe. And Krishna also explains, there are 4 types of people who come to him, who accept him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Who are they? The distressed. So 90% of the population, okay, we are distressed and therefore we go to the Lord. People who are desirous of wealth. Okay? Those who are inquisitive, wanting more information. And finally, those who are searching for God. These are the 4 types of people. Okay? Of these, the one who is in full knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best. Right? So Krishna says very clearly, if you are in pure devotional service to me, you are really the best. Okay? And after many births and deaths, one who is in knowledge will finally surrender unto him. Those who are fed up of this cycle of birth, death, they will finally surrender unto him, knowing him to be the cause of all causes. And such a soul is very, very rare. Okay? So actually, in fact, even miscreants, those who are full of wrongdoing, if they come into contact with pure devotees, with the right association, they will be able to become pure devotees. Okay? We saw the example of Valmiki. Okay? He was a highway robber, and he used to kill people too. And then what happened? He met Narada Muni. Just the power of association, he changed. Right? It was so hard for him to chant Ram, 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 Ram. And what did Narada Muni tell him? You just chant Mara, 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 Mara. From Mara, 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 Mara became Ram, Ram. Okay? And even Narada Muni himself, he was a servant maid's son. So the mother used to wash up, the places where the saints were living. Right? So, after the yajna is done, after all the food is consumed, etc., a lot of mess is created. So she used to be responsible for clearing all of this up. The son used to help, and whatever remnants, whatever prasad was balanced, he used to consume it. He used to honor it. Just because of this, he got the Sukruti to become Narada Muni. Okay? So that's the power of association. Okay. And there are four who reject the Lord. Broadly, the engrossed hard workers, uncivilized people, misled intellectuals, and the demoniac nature. So I was just reflecting on this last week when I was in Australia. I was meeting some very big guys. Okay? So there's this guy I met, he's about 75 years old. Okay, he's really well connected with senior leaders in the corporate world, with the government, etc. And I asked him, so what's next? You are 75, what's next? What are you going to be doing? No, I'm still full of energy, I'm still going to be working, I'm still going to create as much wealth as I can. And I asked him, what's next? After you have created all the wealth, what are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to leave everything for my children and maybe one fine day retire somewhere. And I asked him, what in case you do not reach that stage? He didn't know what to answer me. Alright, so next, the engrossed hard workers, uncivilized people, misled intellectuals, and those who are demoniac in nature. So these are the four kinds of people. Okay? And the civilized form of human life is actually meant for what? Service to the Lord, exactly. Alright? It's meant for reviving our lost connection with the Lord. Okay, so we are all, the forsaken, not the forsaken, but the misled sons and daughters of the rich father. We are all the same. Yeah? We wanted to live independently from the Lord. So the Lord made the entire ecosystem for us to enjoy. Okay, He created earth, He created all the material planets, whatever we wanted, He gave it to us. You enjoy it. When you are tired, think about me and then I will take you back. Okay? So that's what the civilized human form of life is meant to be, to reconnect with the Lord. Then we also learned about a few other verses over here. Okay? So whatever, yes, about that. Okay. So the entire Bhagavad Gita speaks about how do you go about living, speaks about lifestyle, etc., the soul, and finally in chapter 8, Krishna explains, the ultimate lesson, the final lesson, how do you come back to Him? And He explains very clearly, whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. So we saw the example of Bharat Maharaj. Okay? Very saintly king. And he was so attached to the baby deer. He grew up and then he felt that, I'm doing the great thing, I'm looking after the deer. It was a forsaken deer. What's going to happen to the deer when I die? Because he was in that consciousness, he died and he became a deer in his next life. But the Lord is very merciful. The Lord is very merciful. Whatever he had done in his previous life, all the saintly deeds, the Lord allowed him in the form of a deer to remember the Lord. And therefore, in the next life, he went back in his four-handed form back to the Lord. Okay? So therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. So for us, he's telling us, always think of me and just do your work. Just carry on your daily duties. With your activities dedicated to me, and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will definitely attain me. That's a promise by Krishna. That's a promise by Krishna. Okay. And then we went on to look at chapter 8, text number 15. After attaining me, what happens? Okay, you never return to the temporary world. You never return to the material world anymore, which is full of miseries. Material world is full of miseries. Okay, and even Lord Brahma, he cannot save you from the material world. Look at Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad's father. He said, I want to be invincible. I want to be living in the material world, but living an endless life. Brahma said, I cannot give you that. Only Krishna or Vishnu can give that to you. Then what he did? He played a trick with Brahma. He said, okay, allow me to live in such a way that no one can kill me and no animal can kill me. I cannot be killed in the daylight, I cannot be killed at night. I cannot be killed by weapons, nor can I be killed by a human hand. And I cannot be killed outside and I cannot be killed inside. Okay, so Brahma just said, okay, you get it, without realizing that he's making it difficult for Lord Vishnu. And then what happened? Narasimha came. He appeared from the pillar. He didn't come in a human form, nor did he come in an animal form. He came in a half man, half lion. He didn't come at night, nor did he come in the daytime. He came at twilight. He didn't kill him outside, nor did he kill him inside. He killed him in the veranda area. Okay? And with his nails, not with weapons. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make over here is that you can't escape. Death, birth, disease and old age is going to come to everybody. It's going to come to everybody. Not today, tomorrow. Alright? So from the highest planet to the lowest planet, all of these are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death takes place. But one who attains me, attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, he never takes birth again. That's why Krishna is called Mukunda, or the one who grants mukti. Okay? Because he can grant you liberation. And then we spoke about 9.22. Remember 9.22? Those who worship, those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. These are the only two problems we have. To fulfill our needs, not wants, to fulfill our needs. And what's the other problem which we have? Whatever we have, don't it just go off. Don't it just fall off from our hands. And Krishna says, when you come to me, I will ensure that I take care of it. Okay? And then finally, Krishna says, it's very easy to come to me. Whatever you do it as an offering to me. And he also says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati. If one offers me with love and devotion, the key words are love and devotion. Very simple, a leaf, a flower, fruit or water, I will accept it. Okay? Best of course is tulsi leaves. And he's sold to you if you offer him a tulsi. Okay? But if you can afford it, don't just give him the bare minimum. Okay? If you can afford it, don't just say, okay, he just asked for a leaf, one flower, I'm just going to give him that. No, your devotion is also measured by the amount you offer back to him. At the end of the day, everything is his. Why do we do arati? Everything is offered back to him. From the chamara, the fan, all the way to the light, to the water, to the incense. These are all the 5 elements. Plus the gross elements. We are just offering everything back to him. Okay, so don't be stingy when it comes to opulence for the Lord. Give him the best flowers. Give him the best garland. Sew the best clothes for him. And then Krishna goes on to say, okay, in chapter 9, 26, 9.26, as well as in chapter 18.65, very similar, okay? Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me and offer homage to me. How I remember? Start from the top. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me and offer homage or obeisances. That's how I remember. Okay? Thus you will come to me without fail. That's another promise he's making. I promise you because you are my very dear friend, my dear devotee. Where is it? indicated? 18.65. Okay, next week we will really go into this particular verse. Okay. Man manab bhava man bhakto mad yaji mam namaskuru mam evashi satnante pratijani priyosine. Okay, and this is a summary of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, it's called the Chaturshloki Gita. It is defined as Chaturshloki Gita by Ramanujacharya. Okay, so this is where Krishna is actually explaining how do you form a relationship with God. How do you leverage and harness that relationship, and finally you will see how the reciprocation comes. Okay, I think it's called Abhineda, Prayojana, and what's the Sambandha. Okay, the Sambandha, the relationship which you form with the Lord. So the Lord says, this is how you can form the relationship with me. I am the source of all spiritual and material world. Everything emanates from me. Everything comes from me. The wise, the Buddha who knows it, they engage in my devotional service. Okay, that's the Sambandha, the relationship you form with the Lord. And they worship me with all their hearts. And then, the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. They are always thinking about me. Their lives are surrendered onto me, and they are always discussing this. In case you are trying to refer back to Bhagavad Gita, it's 10.8, 10.9, 10, 10.11. Okay? So, once you know that He is the source, what do? You engage in His devotional service. And they do it with great satisfaction. And finally, what's happening over here? And those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give them the understanding. That's the reciprocation the Lord is giving. Okay? And then I also show them the special mercy because I'm dwelling in their hearts. And I destroy with the knowledge, light of knowledge, torch of knowledge, or lamp of knowledge, the darkness of ignorance. Okay? So if you know this 10.8, 9, 10, 11, it's as good as knowing the Gita. If you can live by these principles, you are done. Okay? At the end of your life, you will see you with 4 hands going up to see the Lord. And you will not come back anymore. That's a promise by the Lord. He's promised it. Next week, if we have the time, we will go through those verses where the Lord is promising you something and what the Lord expects out of you. So, over here, to show them mercy, the special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. How many of you have been to Udupi? You have been? Good. Okay, so Udupi is nice Krishna, very small little Krishna. Okay, actually you can't see him directly, the darshan. There are 9 holes. You have to see through that 9 holes. Okay. And what do the 9 holes represent? The 9 methods of worshipping the Lord. From hearing to chanting all the way to 100% surrender to the Lord. These are the 9 holes. So you see there is a cloud or there is a wall between you and the Lord. As you progress more and more in these 9 ways of worshipping the Lord, what is going to happen to the wall? One by one, the bricks will be removed. One by one you remove the bricks until there's nothing else left between you and the Lord. Okay? So in Udupi, during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, there was a Brahmin old man. He will always sit at the corner of the temple because he could not read. He could not read, and his verses, whatever he had memorized, were like me, always wrong. He couldn't pronounce it the right way. He doesn't know Sanskrit. So, and then the head priest and the management of the temple used to say that just leave him to one side. Whenever guests come in, it's quite embarrassing because we do not know what he's going to be speaking. His verses will all go haywire. He cannot understand Sanskrit. He cannot read Sanskrit. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually came to Udupi, and he went up to this old Brahmin. And he was just observing him. He was so-called reading the Bhagavad Gita. He could not read it. But the moment he opens it, he starts crying. Destroy the shining lamp of knowledge, the darkness born of ignorance. You may not understand the language, you may not read it. But what was he saying to Mahaprabhu? He just said that just by looking at the picture of Krishna becoming a servitude, serving his friend Arjuna, I'm already crying every time. I don't even need to read the Bhagavad Gita. Just by looking at the cover of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay? You see over here? The Lord has become a chariot driver for his friend. Just by looking at this, my heart melts. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then told everybody, he understands the Bhagavad Gita more than all of you. Okay? So that's like the significance of this particular verse. So then we move on. Know that all opulent, beautiful and glorious creations spring but from a spark of my splendor. So Krishna is explaining, amongst all the fishes I'm the shark, among all the mountains I'm Himalayas, etc. He explains all of this, and finally he tells Arjuna, actually what's the use of me explaining all of this? All of this is just a spark of my splendor. Okay? And then Arjuna says, now I've seen your Vishwaroop form, I'm 100% convinced, I've seen your 3D version. Thinking of you as a friend, I've rashly addressed you, O Krishna, O Yadava, O my friend, not knowing your glories. Please forgive me for whatever I've done in the madness or in love. Okay, this is prayer to him. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. So what is the secret formula? Undivided or pure devotional service. Okay, so that brings us to chapter 12. The acronym for chapter 12 is God, G-O-D. Anyone knows the deity? Which deity is this? No, it's not really Krishna. He's only about 12 inches. Radha, yes. He's from Vrindavan. Okay? So Gopala Bhatta Goswami. How many of you have been to Vrindavan? Great. So this deity is in the Radharaman temple, very opulently worshipped. Okay? Gopala Bhatta Goswami, about 400 years ago, he went up to Kali Gandaki River. Have you heard of Kali Gandaki River? It's in Nepal. Okay, so in that river, there are natural formations of Shaligram Shila. Okay, Shaligram Shilas are the stones which are worshipped as good as Krishna. Okay, blackish stone, and then you will see some engravings in them, I think it's the special prawns who actually eat them up in certain formation. Okay, so if you watch them, you can actually see, it's in the form of a Narashinha, etc. So he went up and he had a bath in the Kali Gandaki river. And with his small little bucket, he took out water to pour to himself. Every time he poured water, what happened was, a group of Shaligram Shilas went into his bucket. And then he put it back inside. And again, when he was taking the water out, there was another big group of Shaligram Shila. He did that a few times. And finally, he realized that actually the Lord is asking me to worship them. So he brought all of these Shaligram Shila back to Vrindavan. Okay, he was worshipping them, round stones. And one day the king around that area, he said that, I'm going to be coming to Vrindavan, and those of you who have got nice deities, I will dress them up opulently. I will give offerings of necklaces, clothes, gold jewelry, diamond for your deities. And Gopala Bhatta Goswami was saying that, my Lord, I am worshipping you as round stones. How can you even put a crown on a round stone? He was crying. He said, everybody's deities will be so nicely dressed because of the offerings given by the king. But how do I even dress you up? How can I even accept anything? Because nothing can be housed on a round stone. He was praying and he slept off. In the next morning, one of the stone actually evolved into, one of the Shaligram Shila evolved into the Radharaman deity. Okay? It's a true story, and they used to protect this deity. They used to protect the deity in the Yamuna on a boat. He used to be housed there every night because there were a lot of robbers at that time. So this is a Radha deity. And how did the Lord appear? He appeared by the devotion of Gopala Bhatta Goswami. Even today when you go there, the deity is there. And on certain days you can actually see his feet. Very opulently he's dressed. Sometimes he's in nice shorts. Very nice. See, you can even see the Lord's lotus feet there, So this is a Shaligram Shila, self-manifested deity. So he came out of devotion. Okay. So now let's take a step back, because chapter 12 is all about devotion. Okay. Auntie Satya sitting over there, she will tell you that when she was a young kid in Malaysia, all of them had to memorize chapter 12. 20 verses of chapter 12. You can ask them, they know it by heart. So that's chapter 12 for you. It speaks about devotion. The Lord speaks about the path of bhakti. Okay? And the phases you go through. And finally the Lord also explains what are the qualities of a devotee. Okay? So just a recap. How many verses in Bhagavad Gita were spoken by Dhritarashtra? Very good. How many were spoken by Sanjaya? Sanjaya, the messenger of Dhritarashtra, who had the special powers. Just by holding his chest, he could see what was happening. He even saw the Vishwarup form sitting in Hastinapur, although the war was going on in Kurukshetra. How many verses did he speak? 41. Okay? He spoke 41. How many did Arjuna speak? 84. Just remember, 141, 84. And the rest was spoken by the Lord himself. How many? Exactly. Smart girl. 574 was spoken by the Lord. Out of 574, 100 are on the three modes of material nature. What's the lifestyle you should be leading? What are the habits you should have which will evolve into your character? So we will be coming to chapter 14 shortly. Okay? And all of you have the Bhagavad Gita. All of you have got the enthusiasm, although the numbers are dwindling, sadly. How many do we have, Rita, today? How many attendees? No idea? Okay, doesn't matter. I think we have about 30 plus to 40. Doesn't matter. A few of them are not well. Okay, so what happened after the war was Arjuna and Krishna, they were ready to come out of the chariot. Okay, war is over. So Krishna tells Arjuna, you please, exit the chariot. Arjuna says, no, you are the Lord, I know you now, you please go first. The Lord insisted, no, you go. So Arjuna left the chariot, and then the Lord left the chariot and walked a few meters, and what happened to the chariot? It exploded. It exploded. Okay? So why did it not explode earlier on? The chariot exploded now. But earlier on it was protecting Arjuna. It was like a shield for Arjuna because the Lord was there. The moment the Lord went out of the chariot exploded. There was so much of, there was the Brahmastra weapons, the nuclear weapons from so many of the Kauravas. They were all hitting, but somehow the Lord was protecting the chariot and protecting Arjuna. So now, the point to ponder is this. You guys have read Bhagavad Gita up to chapter 11. You have heard it. Okay, some of you have already started living it. So once the Lord has come into your heart, He's seated in your heart, please don't ask Him to leave, Don't ask Him to leave. Don't okay, Bhagavad Gita course is over, let's get back to our real life. This was an illusion. No. It's not an illusion. Okay, so don't remove Him from our hearts. He has come there to sit, nourish your devotion. Okay? So never ask Krishna to get off the chariot of your life despite all the challenges you may have. Okay? He will be there to protect you. Ensure that you regularly come for your classes, ensure that you are chanting on a daily basis. I'll explain to you what's the power of chanting a bit more later on. Okay? And Narendra Modi, I told you about this earlier on. When he met the Japanese Prime Minister, he gave him a Bhagavad Gita. And he said, there's nothing in this world which is more precious which I can give you. And there's nothing the world can actually offer you which is more precious. That's the power of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, the Indian Constitution has gone through so many rounds of amendments. But Bhagavad Gita doesn't go through any amendment. It's still version 5,000 years ago. It's still the same version right now. So the Lord says that, so Gita is a living book, don't forget, and continue to serve the Lord through the 9 processes. Okay. And because we have forgotten our constitutional position, because we wanted to live independently from the Lord sent us here. How many lives have we gone through? Lakhs of lives. And as a human, it is the most progressive life. Why? Because you can think about the Lord now. Can you expect an animal to think about the Lord? Difficult. Okay. So this is the life which we have. How many lives have we given to Maya? We have given so many lives to Maya, yes or no? To illusion, to enjoyment, etc. Then we come back. We come back. Why don't we make a promise to give this life to Krishna? Half our life is already gone. This young boy, he has got 4/5 of his life still. Mine, maybe more than half is gone. Okay, so whatever we have, give it as an offering to the Lord. And He will grab you back. That's His promise in 18.65. He has promised this to you. And He also promised that anyone who teaches this to other devotees, they will be the ones who I'll bring back. Okay, they will be the most dear to me. Okay, so devote this life, this one life to the Lord. Okay, half is already gone anyway, yeah? Okay. So Krishna says, of sacrifices, I'm the chanting of the holy name. So it's not that Pradeep Kumar suddenly came up with this, or Prabhupada came up with this. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, of all the sacrifices, I'm the chanting of the holy name. And then he moves on to say, after searching, this is in the Kali Santara Upanishad, after searching through all the Vedic literature, one cannot find a method of religion more sublime for this age of Kali Yuga than the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. One who chants the holy names of the Lord is immediately freed from the reactions of unlimited sins. We may not realize it, but if you chant attentively with all your hearts and devotion, unlimited sins will be wiped off. It's a matter of trust. Okay, you just have to trust. When I was doing the Queen Kunti prayer, some elderly ladies will just walk past and go to the washroom. They'll be talking and all that. And I used to tell the students, doesn't matter, they are hearing. It just purifies you. When you take a tablet, do you know how it's making a connection with the organs? What kind of catalysis processes are going on? You do not know, right? It still purifies you. So that is the power of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Okay. Look over here, the mirror. Okay, so what the chanting does is it cleanses all the dust from the mirror of our consciousness. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Cheto Darpana Majanam Bhava Maha Davarni Nirvapanam. Okay, so whatever years and lifetimes of accumulated karma which we have, okay, which is blocking our vision of the Lord, this is instantly removed by the chanting of the Lord's holy names. And one's memory of Krishna is revived by chanting. By this practice and hearing the sound vibration, one's ear, tongue and mind are engaged. So one of you was asking me, when I'm traveling to work, I like to chant the Mahamantra, but then it's hard for me to hear. So what I will do is, you have this flap over here, right? Just close this. Can you try and close? And can you silently chant? Do you realize that it's amplified? You can hear it louder. It's very important for you to hear what you are chanting. Okay? And don't with your remote control and with your chanting beats in your hand, watch TV and when you have the intervals, that's when you chant and in between it goes back. That is inattentive chanting. It's quite an offense to chant the Lord's name like that. So now we move on to chapter 12. Although it's the shortest chapter, it contains lots of essential insights on devotional service. Krishna discusses the path of devotion, the stages one may progress to achieve it, and the qualities of devotees who have perfected it. Okay? So G stands for Godhead, O stands for options. The Lord gives you a few more options once again. Remember the yoga path, the yoga ladder? And then he speaks about devotees' disposition or the qualities of the devotees. So once I actually met somebody in the temple, and he told me that, your Krishna is an attention seeker. He says, Man mana bhava man bhakto. Always think of me. Become my devotee. Pay obeisances to me. Worship me. In this way you will come to me. Sounds like a control freak. Somebody told me. But let's take a step back and look at how the Lord reciprocated Arjuna's love. He became his chariot rider. And in a war, there's so much of tumultuous sound, trumpeting of elephants, etc. How did Arjuna give directions to Krishna? Move to the left, move to the right. How? He kicked him left, kicked him right. So the Lord took the kicks of his devotee. So how can you say that he's egocentric? Point number one. There was a assembly of sages, and they were like trying to see, finally who is the greatest. Okay. So the impersonalists, those who do not believe in the human form of the personal form of the Lord, they said maybe the sky is the greatest. The sky is the greatest. And then somebody else said, no, the clouds, because the clouds can block the sky. And then somebody else said, no, it's the wind, because the wind can move the clouds. And somebody else said, no, it's the mountains, because the mountains can block the wind. And then somebody else said, no, it is Bhumi, it is the earth, because the earth is holding on to the mountains. And then one smart sage said, no, it is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna or Vishnu. Because, remember, chapter number 7, everything is resting on me. So the Lord is actually holding all the planets like cotton balls. And then they went to Krishna and they asked Krishna, who is greater than you? What did Krishna say? My devotee. Because my devotee has captured me in his heart. So he is the greatest of all of them. He is even greater than me. That's what Krishna is saying. So Krishna cannot be a control freak. That's how I explained it. Okay? Good. So, Same Bhakta Priyaha, my devotee is more dear to me. And Krishna also explained that, my devotee is greater than me. Please get their association, because they can deliver you. Okay, get the association of my pure devotees. When you go to any of these spiritual places, listen to them, hear to them. If you want to listen to music, listen to Hari Katha. Okay, Bollywood music is not going to bring you anywhere. Bhangra music is not going to bring you anywhere. It will just give you a temporary high and then permanent loss of your time. Okay, so Krishna says that associating with my devotees is going to help you. If you reflect, how many of you are from Mumbai? Good. the Mumbai train? I have. The first time I went to Mumbai, I was a little bit stingy. I traveled from Church Gate all the way to Juhu using the local train, and I tell you, it was an experience. You know, when you want to come out of the train, what do? Very strategically, you come to the exit point, and then once you are like, a few meters from the train station, the force is going to push you out. Okay? So that is the power of association. Knowingly or unknowingly, you will be pulled like a tsunami. That is the power of association. We saw in the case of Narada Muni with Valmiki, etc. Okay, so listening is also associating with the devotees. Okay, so G stands for Godhead. Okay, so Krishna will explain that the personal form, the worship of the personal form is greater than the worship of the impersonal form. You remember the three forms of the Lord? Many of you got it wrong in the test. Yeah? Okay, Brahman is the energy. Okay? The effulgence which comes out from the Lord's body. And then the personal form of the Lord, and then as Paramatma. So what we are going to do is a bit different today. Can you get your Bhagavad Gita, turn to chapter 12, please? Yeah. Which page is it in your book? Okay. Anybody doesn't have a copy here?
Page 535.
535. Sorry ma'am, I wish I had one more. The page may be different here. This is my antique piece. 1990. Okay, so we will go through that. Chapter 12. Let's start. A bit differently this time round.
Chapter 12 of Bhagavad Gita as it is. Devotional service.
So chapter 12 is devotional service.
In chapter 12, Arjuna learns that Bhakti Yoga, pure devotional service to Lord Krishna, is the highest and most expedient means for attaining pure love for Krishna, which is the highest end of spiritual existence. Those who follow this supreme path develop divine qualities.
Okay, recite together all English speaking sections begin.
Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect, those who are always properly engaged in devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested?
Can you be louder?
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshiping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be most perfect.
Okay, so you got the answer. The Lord Himself says that those who worship me in my Shyam Sundar form, in my personal form, they are the highest, they are the most perfect. Anything wrong with worshipping His Brahmajyoti form? No. It just takes a longer time to achieve it. Okay, that's going to be explaining text number 3 and text number 4. Okay. So the Lord says that those who worship me in the personal form, what He's saying is you have to do devotional service. If you look at worshipping the Brahman effulgence, it's hard to do it, right? You can only meditate. Can you do devotional service on something which is empty? It's difficult. Okay, but if it's the Lord's form, you can do. And the Lord also appears as his deity, Archa Vigraha form. Okay, can be in the mind, can be in the deity form, etc. So in chapter 6, what does Krishna says? He says that amongst all yogis, one who always thinks of me within himself is the most perfect. Then in chapter 7, Krishna says that living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme. And he recommends that he transfers the attention fully to that whole. And finally in chapter 8, Krishna says, anyone who thinks of me at the time of death is at once transferred to the spiritual sky. So these are other extensions of explaining that the personal form is the highest form. Okay? So 12.3.
Those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons, engaged in the welfare of all, at last achieve it.
Okay, so you got the answer.
For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied.
So we are all with a body. For us to make progress, worshipping the Brahman effulgence is very difficult.
But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me, and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Pritha, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always, without a doubt.
Okay, can you understand? Straightforward now. For the last 4 weeks, we have been reading through this. I think it's quite straightforward. Just a few points. If you read the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that he gives the analogy of the mailbox. Okay, why do we worship a deity? It's like giving a letter, sending a letter to an authorized mailbox versus any other box. The deity is authorized by the Lord. Why? Because the priests or the acharyas have invited the Lord to come and live with the deity. And we explained last week, why the Lord doesn't reciprocate to challenges. Someone may break the deity, but the Lord is not going to come out and kill the burger. It doesn't work that way. The Lord only reciprocates with devotion. Okay? So, the Lord accepts our service through the deity form. Okay, so we can dress the deity up, we can offer food to the deity, we can offer flowers, etc. So it's the analogy of a mailbox versus any box. If you just put your letter into any box, it's not going to reach the rightful addressee.
My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me.
So the Lord says, if you cannot think of me always, then do it via Bhakti Yoga. Okay. So He's now giving you different options. If you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, follow the regulatory principles of Bhakti Yoga. So what does Krishna mean by regulative business? Regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. Any examples you can give me? Correct? 9 steps, yes. What else? How do you regulate your bhakti or sadhana bhakti? This is like doing sadhana bhakti. Chanting, good. So it's like waking up early in the morning. You wake up early in the morning, probably around 5:30. Why? Because it's the Brahma Muhurat time. Huh? 1 Muhurat is 48 minutes. So 2 Muhurat is equivalent to the time when you should be waking up. Around 5:30. And then that's the best time for you to wake up, get ready for your prayer, etc. Okay, I was away in Australia for 5 days and I was a little complacent, the kind of food you eat, etc. Your consciousness goes haywire. And this morning I was preparing for my class and my wife said, today is your turn to do the deity worship, I'm cooking. I said, okay, I'll do it. But the moment you start worshipping the Lord, the moment you do His arati and all that, you get surcharged again. Okay, that is the start of the regulating your devotional service. Okay, so you wake up in the morning, you do the arati for the Lord, you chant your rounds, you have tulsi at home. Okay, if you have tulsi at home, do an arati for the tulsi, circumambulate the tulsi 4 times. Okay, pay obeisances to Tulsi Maharani, come back, do your chanting. Whatever you're cooking for the Lord, offer whatever you're cooking, offer it to the Lord first before you even taste it or try it. Okay? Offer it as a devotion to the Lord. So these are all regulating your devotional life. Okay? Do a fixed number of rounds. Very important to do a fixed number of rounds. Somebody asked me last week, very enthusiastically, I want to do 16 rounds like the Maharaj who came the other day. I said, start with 1 round first. Okay, this sudden enthusiasm also, shrivel away. Okay, do it gradually, start with 1 round, 2 rounds, 4 rounds. The way I do it is, before every meal I try to do a few, or 1, or whatever. That way it becomes regulated. So there are like four main important principles in devotional life. Number one is no meat eating, no fish, no eggs. Number one. Number two, no alcohol. Number three, no gambling. And number four, no illicit sex or sex outside of marriage. Okay, so these are the other four regulatory principles the Lord explains in the Bhagavad Gita and in the other scriptures. Okay, so this is called sadhana bhakti. The more you do this, the better the taste would be for spiritual life. Louder,
If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act, giving up all results of your work, and try to be self-situated.
Okay, so the Lord is giving options. If you cannot think of me always, what do? Sadhana bhakti. Okay? Regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. If you cannot do the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then try to work for me. What is work for me? Whatever you do it as an offering for me. Okay? Because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. So whatever work you are doing as an offering to the Lord. Give a little bit to the Lord. Whatever talent you have, use it in the Lord's service, etc. And then the Lord says, if you are not able to do this in the consciousness of me, then try to act giving up all results of your work and try to be self-situated. That is karma yoga. Okay? Do your duty, but do not be attached. The Lord is giving that final, not the final, but the other option. And then finally, so if you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. What is cultivation of knowledge? Reading the scriptures, asking questions from more advanced people, etc. Better than seeking knowledge is meditation or dhyana yoga, part of Ashtanga yoga. Okay? And better than meditation is renunciation of the fruit of action. We totally renounce. You don't have to become a yogi, but you can become a Atmaram. Remember in chapter 2 we learned about Atmaram? You know your two duties, your Swadharma and your Sanatan Dharma. If you know this and if you know that you are part and parcel of the Lord, you will not be attached to your fruits. Okay? So that's that part of it.
If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation. And better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind.
Okay, so we spoke about, and Maharaj was here the other day, he spoke about this. You don't need to go step by step. You can go to Bhakti immediately. Okay? It's like taking a car or taking an elevator. Instead of walking up the steps, you can take an elevator all the way up to Bhakti. So one of the questions I had in my last test was, which is the highest form of yoga? Bhakti yoga. Okay? So once again, fix your mind onto me. That's what the Lord says. Always think of me. If you cannot, then practice the regulations of devotional service, which is Bhakti Yoga or Sadhana Bhakti. If you cannot do 1 and 2, you surrender your work to me. Nishkama Karma Yoga. Remember chapter 2? If you cannot do 1 and 2, you can also give results to a good cause. Okay? If you can't, then progress towards cultivation of knowledge. If you can't, look at meditation. The Lord gives you so many progressive ways of reaching Him. Okay? Some will take a longer time. Some of them will be instant. Okay? Once again, the ladder of spiritual development. In Jnana Yoga, the concept is about the Brahman effulgence. And then in Ashtanga Yoga meditation, it can be the Brahman effulgence as well as Paramatma in your heart. And in Bhakti Yoga, the focus is really on the Bhagavan aspect of the Lord. Okay. Then we move on to the devotee's disposition. What is the characteristics of a devotee of the Lord? The Lord explains this now. It's a bit dry, I can see many of you are yawning. Just stay with me.
One who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor, and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me.
Okay, so the entire Gita until now describes this, right? Be equipoised in happiness and sorrow. Okay, be unaffected. Do not be envious. Be a kind friend to all living entities. This is all what we have already learned. Don't think of yourself as the proprietor or the doer. Remember the 3 forces. Okay. Happiness and distress, you are equal in them, you are tolerant, always satisfied, self-control, engaged in devotional service with determination, and your mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee is very dear to me.
He for whom no one is put into difficulty, and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me. My devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me.
Okay? We have covered all of this.
Bhakti Manya
rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things. Such a devotee is very dear to me.
Anything bad happens, tell yourself that it could have been worse. Anything good happens, it's because of the Lord.
One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very dear to me. Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me.
Okay, we finished chapter 12. Okay. In case you are interested in downloading this, it's available on the Android store. Is it called the Android?
SoundCloud.
Not SoundCloud, I'm not sure it's there, but this is coming as an app. It's really good. Chapter by chapter. Google Play, that's right. Google Play Store is there. I will show you, because when you do a search on Bhagavad Gita, there will be hundreds of apps, but this is a bit different. Okay. This was recited about 25 years ago. The recording is still quite good. Okay, so Krishna describes the character of a devotee. This is something which we have already learned from chapter 1 to chapter 11. The attitude to himself is there's no pride, there's no attachment. In dealing with others, he doesn't see anybody as an enemy. Okay, there's no envy, there's no enmity, and he's always humble. And his vision of life, satisfied, equipoised, and positive. And his relationship with God, he's faithful and he's absorbed. Okay? Because he's faithful and he's absorbed, the Lord also become bound by his devotion. Okay, today in the morning what did we learn? About 10.8, 10.9, 10.10 and 10.11. The Lord explains how the devotees worship him and how he reciprocates with the devotees. So he gets bound. Actually, if you look at the three modes of material nature, which we will describe and discuss in chapter 14, the three modes of material nature binds everybody. But the three modes are not able to bind the Lord. He is not bound. But what binds him is the devotion of the devotees. Okay, look at Mother Yashoda and Krishna over here. Okay, so in the month of Kartik, devotees love this month. This is like the best month for them. Whatever you do in that month is like multiplied 100,000 times. If you do a Tulsi Arati, it's multiplied 100,000 times, 100 or 1,000 times. If you do an Arati for the Lord, if you sing for him, etc., it's all multiplied. If you go to Vrindavan and you do this, Wow, it's a big boon. Okay, that is why you can never get a housing in Vrindavan during the Kartik month. So, how is it that the Lord is bound by his mom's love? Okay, there's a story behind this. I think I've explained to you before, but I always like to recite it. Okay, so Lord Krishna, 3 years old, he was drinking mom's milk, and then the milk was also simultaneously boiling on the stove. The mom said that, okay, milk when you're boiling, after some time it will just spill off, right? So before that happens, she quickly ran, she kept him on the floor, and she ran towards the stove to stop the fire or remove the pot from the stove. Krishna was very angry. How can you just leave me alone? I'm hungry. So what he does, he takes a stone and he breaks a milk pot. And then what does he do? He runs over to the other room where the mother has bound yogurt, cream, etc. Okay, he went up there with all his friends, climbed up on each other, got the monkeys to help them, and made a big mess of that whole place. So Mother Yashoda came and she was like frustrated. What have you done? You broke a milk pot, you have broken all the pots over here. Out of frustration with me, I'm going to bind you now. I'm going to tie you up because it's heavy rains. Going to be heavy rains, a big monsoon coming by. So what she did was, she took a wooden mortar. Nowadays, the younger generation will not know what's a wooden mortar. Those days, we used to make your masalas and your flour using that, right? So it was a wooden mortar, and she tried to tie him to that. Why did she want to tie him? Because otherwise his monsoon, he'll go up, he might create more trouble for himself. So she took the rope, and every time she tried to tie him, it was 2 fingers short. Okay, she's not small, she's quite big. So she was tired, and all the neighboring gopis, all the ladies came and helped her because they were also frustrated with Krishna. They liked him, but he was mischievous. Okay, so all of them brought their multicolored ropes and gave it to Yashoda. But every time she tied, you can see, there's a few extra tyings over here. Every time she tied, it was 2 fingers short. Inconceivable, right? She did it a few times until she got tired and she gave up. She said, Krishna, let me tie you, please, And then finally, she tied him. Okay. What do the 2 fingers, shortfall of 2 fingers represent? I explained this before. It's the endeavor, wanting to serve the Lord. The endeavor. And finally, your surrender. She surrendered. She said, okay, I'm just leaving it to you. Same episode with Draupadi, right? She tried to protect herself. And then finally she said, I can't protect myself, you please come and help me. Okay, so the Lord looks at this, your endeavor and your surrender to Him. And then what He does is, the mother goes on to do other work, and then He rolls over, and there are 2 Yamala Arjuna trees. Okay? And the trees are actually the sons of Kuvera. Manikriva and Nala Kuvera. And the sons were bathing in, naked with some of the celestial beings, and I think was cursed by Narada Muni. And they repented. They said, we are sorry about this. And then Narada Muni said, never mind, not to worry. The Lord will come and save you. I've already, cursed you, but the Lord will come and save you. So when Krishna was, passing through the 2 Yamala Arjuna trees, he actually uprooted the trees. And then you can see these 2 celestial beings, worshipping Him, praying to Him. Okay? So the message is that the Lord can easily be conquered by love and emotion.